Welcome to the Queens on Decks, where I interview female DJs from around the world. I am Michelle Miller, your host of the Royal Queens Rising podcast. We share our inspiring stories and secrets to our success. I'm DJ RunDat, the host of Queens on Decks, and today we have guest DJ Keelez, coming out
Hey
of
guys.
LA. Cool. Well, so let's hear how you became a DJ.
Sure, yes. So interesting. I actually grew up with a brother-in-law who was a DJ. He actually works for Ultra Music, and he's into, the house music scene, and he's from New York, which is a whole different scene there in terms of that. So I kind of grew up watching him. So I was familiar with the DJ world, but I didn't necessarily know how I fit into it. Then as I was old enough to finally get into the clubs, I kind of discovered, oh, wow, there's like a, open format aspect to it. And I kind of dove in at that point because, I really do love music of all genres. So it was hard for me to kind of think of focusing on one particular genre. So once I was able to say, hey, look, you can actually explore all kinds of music, I dove in, and here we are.
Awesome. Yeah, I can relate to loving all the music and trying to figure out kind of which one to focus on. And for me, all my gigs are different and require different music. So I'm always doing a lot of homework and researching and building playlists and making sure I have, what my client needs. So it's sometimes when it's my own gig, when it's my own night and I get to do whatever I want, I'm just like, I joke that I'm DJ genre jumper, and you can hear like 10 genres in a night.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to keep the crowd happy, right? As long as they're happy, I'm happy.
Exactly. So when you were starting out, was he your main mentor, or did you have a specific mentor, or who started teaching you? Who were the first people that like put you on?
So it's funny, actually, he's a big believer in doing it the hard way. And, I'll help you when you're there and ready to be helped, which makes sense. And in this industry, you have to definitely be careful in terms of yourself. So I actually went a different route, and I I lived in San Francisco for like 7 years prior to moving to LA. So when I was in San Francisco, there was a guy who had I don't think it's there anymore, but it was called DJ Arts Academy. And he was doing classes. So I jumped in, took the classes there. And that's kind of how I started. And now, actually, I still kind of extend my education, every now and then. And so currently I'm actually have a mentorship with DJ Shorty, who's an amazing, turntablist. So
yeah. Wow. That's so awesome. And that's all down in LA.
Yeah, that's in here
cool.
in LA.
I have to get down there.
Yeah.
What was the gentleman's name that had the school or the class in San Francisco?
His name was Troy. I can't remember his DJ name right now. I always call him by his first name, which is odd now being in the DJ industry. You don't really do that much. But yeah, the school was DJ Arts Academy, and I've tried to find it, and I haven't found it. I think it might have, unfortunately, no longer been there. But it was a great, really small, intimate school. But it was super, good for me to be able to learn on that scale, and it was very helpful.
Nice. Yeah, I was asking because it sounds familiar, and I did spend a lot of time clubbing in San Francisco in my early 20s and went to San Francisco State at one point. So I was just curious if I knew him. So did you start out on turntables?
I started off on CDJs, oddly enough. I did do, of course, some vinyl and turntables. Of course, you have to if you're a DJ at some point in your career. But when I learned, I actually did learn on CDJs, and then during my course went to vinyl and back and forth. But ultimately, I actually kind of dove into digital DJing just because, the convenience of being able to, carry lesser equipment,
Absolutely. I do not like carrying the turntables around. I always end up with like bruises and like a sore back. But
right here, right? Like from the things, the flight cases, right?
Yes. I use a controller now, so it's made it a lot easier. And I think that's what took me so long to start DJing. I wanted to DJ when I was young, but it was vinyl then, and I had turntables given to me. But as soon as music got digital, I started collecting just as much music as I could. It was like just amazing. Like Kid in a Candy Store with like Napster or whatever, you know, all those
Right?
early
Yeah,
sites.
absolutely. No, I think we all started out with that. Once you could get your hands on it, you did it anywhere you could, and then, yeah, but then I guess once you get into DJing, you kind of regret that because then you end up with a library that's all kind of all over the place. So eventually, don't do that, DJs in the world. Don't do that. Organize your stuff first
Yes,
to go back from there. But it's fun, definitely.
absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah, if you don't start out with some sort of system organizing your music, it will be hard and confusing. So where do you play
Right,
in LA?
exactly.
Do you have any residencies? Or do you do like mobile DJing, or what kind of gigs are you playing these days?
So honestly, I actually have delved into a lot of mobile DJing and private events. Actually, I kind of specialize in super fun, high energy private events. I have kind of developed my own company. Now I have other DJs that actually work for me as well. So I've kind of dove into that, and I also specialize in LGBT weddings as well. So I'm one of the top LGBT wedding DJs here in Los Angeles. So I do that. I do the occasional bar and nightclub. My schedule tends to be a little too busy to kind of take those on. Most private events happen on Saturday nights, as do bars and nightclubs, so kind of
Yeah.
overlaps. But I really do enjoy the private event aspect of it. Some DJs are kind of like, oh, wedding DJ. I'm not a wedding DJ in my opinion. Like, I do weddings, but I don't consider myself a wedding DJ. I think that's has a stereotype to it. But I really enjoy weddings and private events, and I think it's super fun and definitely a nice different world to be a part of. And you also get home a little earlier, so you can't knock that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I agree. And I feel like, those more intimate events, like after a wedding, I almost feel like I'm a little bit part of the family.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
You share that special moment, that day with them. And yeah, it's
Very
a lot
true.
of fun.
Absolutely.
It's a
No,
lot of
absolutely.
fun.
That's the best part of it. It's the high fives at the end of the night. That's what I always say.
Right? Do you ever get dancing with them? Go out dancing?
Sometimes I mean, that last song you might end up on the dance floor, definitely. And
Right?
I have a lot of couples that ask me to party with them, like go to their after parties. It's tough sometimes
Fun.
because I have to break it down. So by the time I get to the after party, they don't even remember me at that point because they've been drinking all night. So
Yeah.
it's a little tough to get out there, but you do get the invites, and sometimes if you can, it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. I got to DJ in a wine cave in Napa, and the afterwards they were hanging out, and there's like a 4-lane bowling alley and a little bar. It was really cool. I got to hang out a little
Yeah,
bit,
no.
go
Sometimes they do.
bowling.
Yeah, sometimes they're in really like creative areas and they have some really cool options for the after party. So sometimes it's cool to kind of get there. I did one on Catalina Island once, and you're kind of trapped on the island after 8 p.m. because they don't have a ferry off. So I was like, okay, you guys are after party. It's the only bar on the island. I guess I'm there. So it worked out.
Nice. So you probably had to spend the night out there, yeah?
Yeah, you have to spend the night out there. Yeah, it's a bit of a logistical issue in terms of that, but once you're there and set up, it's fun.
Yeah, so did you have to take your equipment on a ferry out there?
So that's an option. Yeah, you can take your equipment on a ferry. You can also rent equipment and have it there on the island. I mean, that's not the most cost effective thing. You have to have a client willing to pay that. But yeah, you have the option to either. The problem with Catalina Island is you could very limited in terms of what you can bring on the ferry there. So you can bring a limited small setup on the ferry with you there, or you have to like barter it in, which is like a 7-day process or some complicated thing. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I bet you get to play some really cool venues down there in LA.
Yeah, there's some interesting venues out here for sure. Yeah, definitely. I feel very blessed that I have the opportunity. There's a lot of times I'm in places that I'm like, wow, this is a really cool place to be. You have like amazing view of downtown LA, or there's celebrities there, or there's could be
Yeah.
tons of different things. But it's funny because LA's all over the place. You can be downtown one day with all these big buildings, and then the next day you can be like in the Santa Monica Mountains, and you have to worry about mountain lions, and you're like, is this?
Totally. That's awesome. Hopefully you never run into any mountain lions. We actually have a mountain lion that likes to come around our neighborhood. We
Oh.
live, in Humboldt County. It's pretty woodsy. I live on the river. So
Oh, I can imagine. No, I've been to Humboldt County. It's
yay.
definitely very remote out there, so I can imagine you guys probably have
Hmm.
all sorts of interesting things out there.
Yeah, nice that you've come up here before. Do you have like a favorite gig? Like, is there one gig that just stands out as like the most amazing event you've ever been a part of?
Well, I mean, that's tough because I've been a part of quite a few amazing ones. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a wedding once where we had a Cher impersonator that was like amazing. It was just one of those like really awesome experiences. I've done quite a few where we've had some, drag queens show up, or, Britney Spears I had once, and I've had quite a few. Those are always fun in terms of that. I've done a few, celebrity weddings. I've worked for Al Pacino was my client at one point, and
Wow.
I did Beau Bridges, his daughter's wedding. Jeff Bridges, the Bridges family. I don't know if you're familiar with
I am
them.
very familiar with
Yeah,
him
yeah.
because his daughter and I are friends. Yeah.
Is it Emily?
Isabel.
Oh, so
Isabel.
Emily, I actually did Emily's wedding, who's Beau's daughter. So it was a good time.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's so fun. I think we have one of the funnest careers ever.
Oh, it is. It's so fun. And I mean, and then the people I work with make it a lot more fun. And I think once you get to a certain part in your career where the clients kind of start to match up with your style a lot more, the job becomes so much more fun because then, you really can kind of, people appreciate your creativity a lot more. So you can have a lot more fun with it.
Yeah. Do you have any advice to somebody that may be listening that wants to get started DJing?
So, I mean, my advice would definitely be kind of slower is better. Don't dive into something too quickly in this career. I think a lot of people want to buy equipment and say, okay, cool, I can do my gig without necessarily learning the particulars in terms of, or the technicalities in terms of DJing. So I definitely think, practice first, and then, get out there and do gigs, and understand that there's a progression in this career. So when you start off, yes, you're gonna, work. You might work for free, you might work for really cheap, but eventually that's gonna stop. But sometimes that's the stepping stones you have to do to get to the top. But also be very careful in those stepping stones, because some people will take advantage of your eagerness. So you have to be very careful. You definitely have to, know your client, but also seize opportunities when they're there, because you never know what small opportunities kind of might turn into larger ones. But definitely, patience is key in this career.
Yeah, absolutely. Any tips on like marketing yourself? Because I know we are a number one person to market ourselves.
Yeah.
So like, what's working well for you?
So yeah, in terms of marketing, I mean, Instagram is really hot right now. I find that a lot of clients find you on Instagram, with hashtags and different things of that sort. So I'm surprised sometimes when people are like, hey, I was looking for, a Los Angeles and I saw you had hashtagged that, or you were at a venue and I saw you tagged yourself at the venue. So that's awesome. I know you've worked there before. So Instagram has been really amazing lately in terms of that. And then also, of course, just doing good work and good reviews, and people being able to find those reviews. So, just, making sure that they're present, and you're, highlighting them. But definitely just putting yourself out there, and making sure that people know, that you're there and available, and that, you love what you do. And I think if you can make that apparent, clients will see that and they'll kind of come your way. But you definitely have to put the work in, and kind of, and put the work into the proper outlets, because there's a lot of options there. So you have to pick and choose there. But definitely, Instagram, and just be plain out organic, natural marketing, I think is the best way to go with that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure it was you that I searched your name today on Google as I was making sure I could say it correctly.
Sure, no, that's fine. It's a tough one. I get it.
And I believe that you're on Yelp, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you had a lot of Yelp reviews. I didn't go to them, but I think it said like 80 something reviews.
Yeah, I think I have. I mean, I have a lot of reviews out there. I think on Yelp right now I'm at 49, and there's some that have been filtered and stuff like that. So, but it's a pretty decent amount. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder. So do you follow up with your clients and ask them to give you reviews?
So you know what? That's an interesting question. There are some people who do that, like every single gig, and there's people who give seminars. And they're like, yeah, absolutely, every gig you should ask for a review. I go a different route. I kind of let clients do it organically. I feel those are the best reviews when they're genuine and the client really had a good time. I mean, if I know it was an amazing wedding, I might drop a hint on the way out, like, hey, so nice to work with you. If you have a chance, shoot by, but I try not to do that, because I don't want to be that person. I mean, if the wedding was amazing and I feel like, you know what, I think this person needs to leave a review because there's absolutely no chance that they're going to say something bad because it was so good. Yeah. I will reach out in that instance, but I kind of like to let it happen organically, just because I feel like the reviews write a lot better that way. They can be very robotic when you ask for them.
Yeah, I've had, a wedding where I didn't really know them, and I thought about it. I'm like, it was when I was kind of building some reviews, and I'm like, I kind of want to ask, but I kind of feel really awkward. Like,
Yeah,
so
right.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Maybe like people that I work with on the regular, like as I was building the business and the website and the fan page and the Google and Yelp and all that, can you please help me like get this started?
Right. I mean, and that's what you have to do sometimes. I mean, and a lot of times I think that's how you start, is just asking, your friends. I mean, I think that's how you start in general, is doing friends and family events. You don't want to mess up somebody who's paying you's wedding. You'd rather mess up a friend's wedding, you know what I mean? Because, when you start, not that you're going to mess it up, but let's be real, you're not going to be perfect probably your first go around. So, that's how you do it. You definitely have to start there. But eventually, you're going to get clients who appreciate you enough that they write the reviews. So,
absolutely.
I think organic's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure we met through a Facebook group.
Oh, yes.
You were tagged in where I was looking for females to interview. Where else, like on the internet, do you participate like as like with other DJs? Like, are there any other sites or blogs or like different media outlets? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's the DJ Association. I think it's called
the ADJA.
That one. Yeah. I have not joined that yet. I'm not quite there. I looked at it.
Hey, the Northern California chapter is actually pretty. I know the Bay Area chapter is supposed to be pretty large up there, or very active. So it probably won't be. Yeah, you should check it out though.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at that. Someone had commented on that thread of why don't we have our own association as female DJs. So it sparked an idea that I would love to start a female DJ directory on my website, so people can go from all around, look for DJs all around the world. And so when I connect with other DJs, I can add them to it. Was something I was thinking about. How can we get all these ladies together? There's several female lady DJ groups on Facebook and stuff, but I'm wondering about other ways. So yeah, I'll have to check out the Northern California chapter for the DJ Association. Sounds so official.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's different, and again, when it comes to those things, you really have to pick and choose what works for you. I mean, right. The worst part, especially in the mobile DJ world, I'm going to be honest, it's very male dominated, right? So as a female in this world, it's tough to kind of find your place. You have to kind of be assertive. Sometimes you have to kind of go to the meetings and understand that it's going to be a boys club sometimes, and you really have to sit there and understand, like, wow, okay, I'm outnumbered, and really kind of pick and choose your battles. Like, I mean, trust me, I'm as much as a feminist and like proud gung-ho woman as the rest of them, but I find sometimes in some of these organizations, like, it's better to kind of sit down and observe than to try to be that person who's trying to, make that like change. Because I feel like you're just outnumbered right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it is good to kind of see what is happening and how other people do it and how maybe we can do it differently. And it's also good to give that female perspective sometimes in these male dominated rooms, because I think sometimes they need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love like learning how many female DJs there are, and like there's a lot more than I thought. I'm having so much fun just
right. Yeah.
Kind of searching them out and connecting with them and having them on the show. Like it's just been awesome. Super inspiring.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, man. I mean, they really need, and in Los Angeles, I got to say, there is a lot of amazing DJs out here, like so many really talented female DJs out here, and there are some people who are trying to get them together. Like DJ City has done a few what are called lady link ups, and it's a lot of lady DJs who kind of come together and chat, and it's really amazing to see some people who you're like, oh wow, this is they're really talented DJs and they're girls, and it's interesting to kind of be in a room full of all these like women DJs who you don't even realize that they're there. And I recently attended one, and it was like 40, 50 women, and I'm like, maybe even more than that. But I didn't even know that many existed in LA. So it's amazing. There's a lot out there.
That's awesome. I'll have to try to tune into what's going on down there a little bit more. I sometimes feel like I'm stuck in a Northern California bubble.
Yeah, no, I know it's tough. I mean, I think they're trying to get things a little more out there nationally in terms of doing things to like link people up. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's definitely tough in terms of where you are, regionally speaking. I mean, Los Angeles, thankfully, we have a lot of, people in the industry. So there's probably a lot more, things going on. I know when when I lived in the Bay Area, I had some difficulty kind of finding.
So you mentioned like about like the weddings not having super late nights, and like that's something that I've been feeling is it's getting harder for me to do those, and preventing burnout is something I wanted to talk about. Like, for me, I know I have to purposely focus on like just really taking care of myself, like try a little extra harder, because the burnout is getting real when I do what I call like marathons, where I had a 4-day, 34-hour gig.
Right.
4 days long. 2 of those days were 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. So it was, it was a lot. So I'm just wondering, like, what do you do? Like, any specific thing that you do to try to just like keep yourself, healthy to keep up with all these events? And
so, yeah, I mean, burnout's a real thing. Absolutely. And in our industry, it's tough because and it's tough to explain that to people because you are expected to be the life of the party. And sometimes you're tired and it's hard to be the life of the party, and you show up and you're thinking about, oh my God, okay, it's 10 and I'm here till 1 and you're just ready to go. So I think that's the toughest thing. But yeah, to avoid burnout, what I've learned, and I mean, it's kind of a good thing too, in terms of that it's really just kind of making sure that your pricing is of such that you can work enough to be able to live, but you don't have to burn yourself out. I think that a lot of people, and I get it. Sometimes you want to work and you love what you do, but I think sometimes you have to definitely be able to take a step back and say, you know what, I don't have to take every gig that comes my way, and is this worth my time? And I think that it's tough to get to that point where you can say, hey, listen, my pricing, yes, I'm a little higher than everybody else, but there's a reason, and I warrant it, and and I think when you get to that point, it helps you to be able to avoid burnout a little more, because you're going to be doing lesser gigs, but still kind of balancing out in terms of the finances. But if you do more gigs, you are at least getting paid better. So I think that kind of gives you that extra push when you're out there. Because I mean, you're doing a gig that's 4 hours for $100. You're tired, but if that same gig is paying you, $4,000 or whatever for that gig, you're gonna have that energy real quick, So it's like it's one of those things. But I definitely think that's kind of key, is making sure that you can price yourself accordingly, where you can still work, but also still have enough time for yourself, where you don't have to work, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something I am learning too, is that being able to say no to a couple gigs, because financially and energetically they don't really make sense, even if it's really fun to be there, or they have good food, or
no, sometimes it hurts. I mean, and sometimes they really sell it to you, and they're like, oh, there's gonna be, especially here in LA, there's gonna be all these celebrities there, it's gonna be this, you're gonna be instant famous, this kind of like thing. But I've done so many of those where you show up and it's like, it's not what they've sold you, first of all. And like, you might show up and there's celebrities there, but they don't even know who you are. They could care less. You're probably not going to get a photo. You're going to get a quick Insta story as they walk by. A lot of times it's not really worth your time there. And I mean, sometimes maybe if it's a good cause, there are very few organizations that I work with, but I do work with some that I just, care about. I mean, a lot of LGBT organizations, like the Human Rights Campaign, the LGBT centers all throughout Southern California, definitely, and the Muscular Dystrophy Association. I actually, just a few years ago, I think it's probably been like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, that I randomly, volunteered for a gig there, and those kids are amazing kids, and they really appreciate, having a DJ there, and that's one of the few things that I don't mind necessarily volunteering my time for. But outside of things that really mean a lot to me, or I really feel, provide me value, I don't try to do things like that too much, just because, it's tough, and they really, they sell it to you and it seems appealing, and you're watching Insta stories and they make it look so great, but it's like, in reality, I think that's the sad thing about social media too, is like sometimes social media makes things look way better than they actually are in reality. I think you have to be careful with that in this day and age. And
Oh my gosh! So have you seen the documentary Fire Festival?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
It just reminded me of that. That was terrible.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I feel like Los Angeles is one giant fire festival. I'll be honest with you, like it really is. There's so many people who try to, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to take advantage of you or they're just trying to see what they can get here, but there's so many, on a daily basis, I get inquiries of like, hey, we want somebody, and it's this amazing cause, but we need you to do it for free. and we're raising all this money, and you get there and you find out that they've spent, $3,000 on a lighting rig and speakers and everything like that, but then they couldn't afford to pay you. And you're like, well, how does the math add up in that sense? You know what I mean? And then they make you feel bad and they shame you, and you thinking that, you're a terrible person if you don't accept this. But there's a lot more that kind of goes into it. You know what I mean? And it's like, just because you are taking a paycheck doesn't mean you're cutting into, you're not going to be the detriment of this organization who clearly has the funds to put on this event. So with that being said, it's a very gnarly beast, but you have to be able to kind of know how to finagle it and understand, what's worth your time.
Yeah, definitely valuing yourself and your time and your work is so important. And,
right.
And maybe doesn't come naturally to everyone, and that's something that I always try to teach.
Yeah,
preach.
It's true.
Yeah. So, so it sounds like you play like all kinds of different genres, but is there anything that's like your favorite right now? Like, what are you really into right now?
So I'm really, hip hop's kind of my first love. I'm really a fan of hip hop, but not like the modern day hip hop. Like, 'cause I feel like a lot of this, like with, mumble rap and all this other stuff, like, it's good. And I can totally understand and appreciate it. Not my personal thing. Can get very repetitive after a while. I feel like a lot of it's like 70 to 75 BPM, all pretty same. You know what I mean? In terms of that. But definitely like old school hip hop, or, I'm a huge fan of, Motown music too. It's really, it's really fun for me. I don't know. It's weird. Like, Aretha Franklin and everything like that's my jam. But that's kind of what I would steer to if I had the choice in terms of, stuff like that. But if I'm going out to a party, a nightclub, it's definitely going to be a hip hop top 40 kind of party.
Yeah, for sure. We just did a 90s night last weekend, and that was so much fun. I did a 90s dance hall set, and then we did a lot of hip hop, and it's definitely some of the best music.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun.
Yeah,
and it gets people dancing. It always does. I mean, even, EDM there was hot for a while, but even now EDM's not where it used to be. And I find like you play that and people are just kind of like, they throw their hands in the air. But if you throw in, old school hip hop, most time people aren't disappointed,
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta have the throwbacks.
Right, absolutely.
Well, I have a special gift I wanted to share with our audience. I wrote a book.
Awesome.
It's called How to Start a DJ Business. And it's basically my story on becoming a mom and an entrepreneur and never giving up my dream of DJing. And it just shares tips on how you can start a DJ business too. So it's available on Amazon, but I'm also going to post a link for anybody watching. If they want to check it out for free, I can email you the PDF version. So I just wanted to share that with everybody because just trying to get the word out there.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll share the word for you.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there any projects that you're working on or anything you want to promote right now? Or are there some links that you could post so we can connect with you?
Nothing, no major projects or anything like that right now, but you can find me on social media at DJ Keelez on across everything. So Instagram at DJ Keelez, Twitter at DJ Keelez, Facebook.com/DJ Keelez. My website is djkeelez.com. If there's any newlyweds out there, on April 7th, I am doing an event called The Brunch-In where we there's a panel of wedding experts. I'm going to be providing the music and emceeing the event as well. So if you have any questions in terms of wedding planning or want to meet some vendors, that's going to be an amazing event. You can use my code DJ Keelez, get some discounts off of those tickets there. But any newly engaged people, that's really helpful for them. I actually have the link in my Instagram bio for that, but that's thebrunchin.com. But yeah, that's one of the major things I have coming up. But definitely follow me on social media at DJ Keelez and keep yourself updated. I try to keep myself busy, so hopefully you can catch me out there somewhere.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the tips and sharing your story and being on the show with me today. I really enjoyed having you and learned some things too, which is always great.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. It's always fun.
No, I would love to. Hey, thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate you doing something amazing for the female DJ community. Definitely need more people like you. And I would definitely do my best to support your book, and I'll give you a shout out, and hopefully we can get some people out there to buy that book. And
yeah.
Props to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the support and, being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Go to my website to claim your free gift, a digital copy of my best-selling book, How to Start a DJ Business. www.djrundat.com. Follow me on all social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at DJ RunDat. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To learn how you can book me or work with me, go to my website or email me at michelle@djrundat.com.